All right, so we've done number 1 and number 2 on 4.3 notes. We're doing factoring a quadratic. And we're going to check in here at number 3, starting with our t-chart here. The t-chart includes the c value on the left, so that's -5. B is 4, good. And we're trying to find two numbers that multiply together to get -5 and add together to get 4. So those two numbers, this is a chart so that we can guess and check.
-1, -4.
-1 times 5, when we add those together we get 4, and that works out. And the goal of factoring is to get it back into this form here. Eventually we will use factoring to solve quadratics. So the -1 goes here and the +5 goes here. The x's are the first term in each of those parentheses, sets of parentheses. Number 4. Let's make our t-chart again. We have the c value goes on the left, so 12 goes on the left. And then the b value goes on the right, so 7 goes on the right. We need two numbers that multiply together to get 12.
2 and 6.
3 and 4.
2 times 6. I want you to write out the ones that you say in your head, because sometimes when we get larger numbers, if you don't write them out, it feels like you can never, it just feels like it's harder to find the correct factors than it really is. So 2 times 6 is 8. That's really close, but not quite. And then I heard 3 and 4. So 3 plus 4 is 7. Nice.
Okay.
So then we can write this in factored form. X plus 3, x plus 4.
So wait, can you go back to number 3? I just need to write out the...
My smiley faces look demented.
Oh
no.
That wasn't right.
X plus 3, x plus 4 wasn't right?
No, 2 plus 8 is
2
not
times
7.
6.
2 times 7, 6.
Yeah, the 2 times 6 wasn't right.
Not 7.
What are you-
Right, what are you
We
doing?
used to have quite a while ago, my dude.
I know.
We're going to move on to number 5 here.
That's going to be Lexi's senior quote.
40 goes on the left, -13 goes on the right. We need to find our two factors.
10 and 4.
Yes, I love 10 and 4. Those are the first ones that came to my mind. One of-
8, 5.
One will need, they'll both need to be negative, since they have to add up to a negative number, and they multiply to get to a positive. That's our indication that they both should be negative. So this is adds up to -14, which didn't work out, but hey, there's -8 and -5, and that worked out. Yes.
She wants to be right so bad.
So K minus 8, K minus 5.
Alright, I'm going really fast.
It's documented in her notes that you're a cheater.
What did you just say about me? That's like a taste out there. I'm just kidding.
Guys, this is recording.
I'm just kidding.
Thanks. All right. Next one. This is the boundary line here. These all up through number 5 were level 1. They were level 1. Basic. Level 2 is coming. So level 2, we need to first look for a greatest common monomial factor. So we want to look at each one of these and see what they have in common. In this case, they have n in common. So we're going to factor out an n. Before we make our t-chart, factor out what they have in common. And when we factor, it means divide. So we're going to do n cubed divided by n, which is n squared. Notice the exponent just goes down 1. N squared divided by n is n. And then minus 12n divided by n, that's just a minus 12. Now we focus on the interior of the parentheses, and we make our t-chart. So -12 goes on the left, The coefficient for n is 1, yep, so 1 goes here. So we need two numbers that multiply together to get negative 12, but add together to get 1. So negative 12 times 1 is negative 12 plus 1, that's going to be a negative 11. Negative 3 times 4, add together to get 1. Check.
Yeah, Jenna. You're good at this stuff.
Good. Good.
That's nice.
Level 2 is not that bad.
What about level 3? What?
Level 3 is coming.
No.
Is it gonna hurt my soul?
Not yet. We have some more level 2 to get used to here.
Level 3.
Level 2 coming today?
Level 3 gonna hurt my soul.
Level 2, continue. Number 7, find the greatest common monomial factor. So between 6, a squared. Okay, so 6. I hear a 6. Yes, these, each one has a factor of 6, and that's the greatest one that they have in common. So we'll factor that out.
So then that should be a squared.
Yep.
And then that should be 5a.
Uh-huh.
And then you get minus 6.
You got it. Nicely done.
Factor out your table. So then c will be negative 6.
Mm-hmm.
B will be negative 5. And now you figure out
M times N. Negative 6 times 1. That adds up to negative 5. Nice job.
I used to be so good at these.
A minus 6.
I don't remember ever learning this.
It's okay. It's
I remember being able to do this, and I was like the first one who got a hold of it, and now I'm like, what?
Well, like how you
gonna-
write your A's.
come back to you.
They're nice A's.
Thanks.
They're goals.
You're
Wait,
crazy.
where am I even writing this? I didn't even write that on the
Number-
question.
5.
Yep. Looking at these three, 5 is the GCMF.
M squared. And then.
I just want one of my A's like you do. Okay.
No. 5 times
12.
Yeah, that.
Plus 10.
No, 20.
28.
20. And now we make our T-chart. Focus on the interior of the parentheses when you make your T-chart. So the 20 goes here.
20.
And then 12.
Good.
Alright, so. What
Something
multiple?
funny.
10 and 2.
10 times 2 multiplies to get 20, adds to get 12. Nice job. So 5 stays outside. And we have M plus 10,
5 stays outside.
M plus 2.
Yo, wait.
Bruh.
Oh, I get it.
I'm going to jump down to number 11.
Oh, wow.
We're going to do 9 and 10. I'm going to have you work those out on your own, but I want to make sure we at least get one example of this type of question. Notice there's only 2 terms here. This is a binomial. So, again, first things first, we factor out a common factor, which is n, leaving us with n squared minus 64.
This is still level 2, right?
This is level 2.
Okay, so
It's just
level
the
2 with
special
2.
case.
So it's
Yes.
just a level 2 binomial.
Yes.
And what we were doing were level 2 trinomials.
Yes.
Okay.
This is
Great.
what we're going to call, since this n is perfect square, it's n squared, and 64 is a perfect square, it's 8 squared. This is actually, inside the parentheses, it's called the difference, notice the minus sign, the difference of perfect squares. And we don't make a T-chart for these, we follow the pattern. Whenever we have a squared minus b squared,
Equals C squared. Ooh, I'm gonna just need for the song.
it's a plus b, a minus b. A plus b squared equals c squared is the Pythagorean theorem.
That's exactly where my mind went.
That's the only thing I'm ever
And
going to
there's
remember.
the law of cosines, which has an a squared minus a b squared in it. But
I hate
A
cosine.
squared plus b squared. And,
You know
yeah,
what?
there's all sorts of
Do we
fun
do
stuff
cosines and stuff in-
later.
in algebra?
later.
Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna cry a lot.
Next, we go back to the question that's being asked. Since, see how this was an a squared, but it's just an a in here? So that's what's going to happen with this guy. We still need the n out front. We have n plus, and then the b, it was a b squared. It was a 64, but now it's just 8.
Well, huh? Wait a
And minus 8. So it's n plus 8, n minus 8 is how we would factor this difference of perfect squares.
Oh,
Did I
you
just-
went very fast.
Can I just put something out there? I just wrote all this down without looking at my paper.
Good job.
And look how good it looks.
And not everyone who watches the note will know that Lexi.
So, do you want one more example of that? Here's another example. 4x squared, I'm going to cross out number 12 and just make a new example. 4x squared minus, it has to be a minus to be a difference of perfect squares. Sorry, not 100. Let's do
Wait, we're
minus 25.
So you're making a new problem.
New problem, new number 12. So that you can practice difference of perfect squares. So I have it, this is my a squared and this is my b squared.
The one.
So my a is the square root of this, 2x. My b is the square root of this.
5.
Yep. So in
Okay.
order to write this in factored form,
2x minus 5 and 2x plus 5.
yep.
Gee whiz.
I'm still a little confused.
So we're just, if you can commit this to your memory, it will help a lot.
No, like in reference to like making like the how 4x squared was 2x and 25.
We just take the square root. So the square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of x squared is x.
Oh, see, if you would have just said square root, I would have got. I heard squared. I was like, what?
Now you know. It's good. All right. So why don't you practice number 9 and 10 on your own?
116.
Oh,